What's up everybody, my name's Kevin Toppenberg. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to start a little mini project. It's not going to take too long, not too many episodes, of doing a Machinist straight edge, which is a very flat surface that you can use for then working on other machines. If you like it, thumbs up, all the usual, and I hope you enjoy. Got a package in the mail. Let's get it open. This is from Denis Foster. He has a eBay seller, I think Photodoc with an F maybe. And looks like he's got this very well thing. Let me get that open, I'll bring you back. Okay, he put his email on here, Denis, D-E-N-I-S, and then that's the letter G, denisgfoster@gmail.com. And check out that packaging, and he's even sent me a nice message. He was real, I reached out to him, my buddy, I consider him a friend, My Little Mule, Greg, he gave me the contact info on this guy, and we ended up chatting on the phone. Very, very pleasant man. Let's get this open. Whoa, look at that. Oh man, that is going to be nice. That's 48 inches, I think. Nope, I said that wrong. That is 37, I guess it's probably called 36 inches. All right, let me get that out. I won't show you the other side of this because it's got my address, but he put the destination here. If all else failed, this thing went, flying off the truck and this thing all came to pieces. He has this as a backup to make sure it gets it to me. Nice. So when I purchased this, you have the option, you can pick it up locally. Of course, he lives in Washington and I live in Tennessee, so that didn't work out. But if you don't, then there's a crating fee, and that covers all of his work for this. I think it was $25. That is a bargain. And man, is this in here good. It says featherweight on the side. I like it. If you look at the head, it's got a square head, so I had to find a square bit there. This is called a Robertson head screw. There's a good YouTube video on this by a guy named the History Guy, and he talks all about how Robertson developed this, and Ford was interested in using this in his cars because it's got a lot of advantages. It doesn't cam out very well, but apparently there were some licensing issues, so Ford limited it to his Canadian division, and I think that these are much more common up in Canada and the north than they are in other parts, because I have not seen one of these in a while. I thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, so I've been thinking about how I'm going to machine this. Future Kevin here. I just want to interrupt to say that I'm going to do some machining on the surface of this, which is going to disrupt that nice top curve. And aesthetically, that's not great. I've seen other ways online where you could have blocks put into that arc to get rid of that rocking. I'll put a picture of one of those in. In retrospect, I kind of wish rather than machining the top, I would have manufactured some of those square pieces and then I could have left it looking nice. I didn't, but this is not so much about the best way to do this. I'm just showing you how I did it, and please try not to cringe. My bed on my mill is 36 inches and this is 36 inches, so that's gonna add some extra challenges. I could take it down to a local machine shop, but I'd like to try to do it on my own if I can. So ultimately, we will be machining it like this. So we got the issue of it rocking like this, we've got the issue of it doing this. So I think maybe one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use kind of a belt sander. I have a large table sander with a flat surface. I could just kind of get it roughly flat. Then go from there and then mill maybe about from here to set that area flat. And then I can use that to kind of at least get it so it's a little bit flat, and then I'll need to secure it here and here from rocking, and I'll need to have some sort of device along the side here mounted down to the table so that it doesn't shatter. And then I'm probably gonna have to try to do somehow rotating the turret to get with the one side versus the other side. So those are some things I'm going to play with. Also, this is a thick side here and a thick side here, but I would like it to come down to a point. So I think before I'm all done, I'm going to have this at an angle, and I'm going to put a bevel along here so that when I'm doing my dovetail ways, I can get it up into the corner there. So this will need to come down at an angle. So I think it's going to be a fun project. This is one of Steve Rucker's little 9-inch straight edges I've done in the past. And I was able to get that all flat on my little 11-inch surface plate. This will, of course, need something bigger than that. But this is what I'm talking about, coming down to an angle. Okay, so this is a rough sand casting, and it was just a little bit rough to the hand, so I've gone over it with a sander, and now I think it's going to be easier to work with. So just kind of getting started. I started out with a Dremel with a drum belt. I guess that's what you'd call that, a drum sander. And then I did some of these flat discs, which are just abrasive. And then I did that orbital sander. All right, I've got this set up on the mill. I initially tried with a fly cutter, but it would come in and it would hit and it was getting too much chatter. So I'm trying a smaller one. I don't know exactly why, but when this is rotating, it looks like there's a little bit of run out on it. I'm not sure how that's coming in because it's not, I don't see any up here. But I'm just gonna take the top off and just make a flat surface here. So I'll put that in time lapse. This is a 20,000th depth of cut. So my thought has been that I would take the flat off, flatten, take the top off to make it flat till I got about for this section here. And I think that that's about good. And then I didn't want to make this thing here too thin. So I think that that's about a good place where I'm going to stop. That'll give a surface that I can then flip it over and use that as a flat. Okay, so purists probably want to look away now, but I chose to mill a shoulder right there and a shoulder right there. And I'm going to use that as propping up points when I have it flipped over on its back to keep it from rocking like a rocking chair. All right, this is how I'm going to try this. This is that flat surface I had, so it's on the flat table. I've got this into that shoulder to keep it so it won't go down. I've got this bar holding it down. I've got two hold downs here. Now I'm probably only going to be able to mill from here to here, and then I'll have to reposition, and I'm expecting that there'll be a step there because I don't see how I can make it completely flat. But I think I can then go just get that somewhat close, and then when I go onto a surface plate, then I'll be able to scrape that flat. So that's my plan. This, when I first was planning this, I was thinking I was going to try to get an angle plate and put it back behind here and bolt this to the angle plate. And I may still need to do that, but it was cutting really easy with this, and there's this, because it's rotary and it's got a relatively narrow diameter, it doesn't seem to be putting too much chatter force on it. So I'm gonna try it, we'll see. You know, worst comes to worst, I'll just have to come up with a better setup and then take it down just a little bit lower. All right, let's see how we can do this. Oh shoot, oh shoot. I bet I can't get over that far. Well, all right. I gotta change the setup. Can't get all the way to the end. Okay, let's try this again. I've got this moved down this way more. I think I've got it rigid. Let's see how we do. I don't know. The cast iron's fairly soft. It is, I can see it vibrating. Maybe if I do light cuts. So I don't think it's rigid enough. I'm seeing it vibrate, and if I wanted to, or if I have no other choice, I may be able to get it, because it is cutting, but I'm gonna see if I can find something to put on here to bolt it to. Okay, let me show you where I'm at. This straight edge it's a 36-inch straight edge, and I thought it was going to be 36, but in fact, it's a little over 37 inches. And that'll be good, because the primary goal of this is to be able to scrape in that 36-inch table. But it does throw off my setup here just a little bit. First of all, I have this square tubing that I have machined in the past for another purpose. I think it'll work okay as something to bolt against. I've got some bolts in there into T-slots, and then I'll try to come up with some sort of a U-bolt solution or something to bolt around that into there. And then I've got this up on the 1, 2, 3 blocks. And before I was just trying to set it right down, but it was kind of having to straddle this. Having to straddle the T-slot, which I wasn't happy about. So I think that I like that better. But my thought had been that this is 36, I'm gonna be able to get this right to the end, and that this thing is gonna touch there, but it doesn't. So I think I'm gonna have to manufacture some sort of device that will maybe be at an angle or hook up into that flat, you know, some sort of it's gonna have to be like a U, with this being able to adjust the height, and then this being able to press up against that to, you know, again, to keep it from rocking. So I think I'm gonna think about this. It's coming on 9 o'clock and the temperature is dropping outside. I'm getting cold. So I think this is gonna be a good place to stop for the night. And the part I forgot to add is that I'm gonna try getting that full span by rotating the turret and extending the ram if I need to. And again, I think that'll leave surface imperfection and probably some steps, and then I'll just have to take that off with scraping. Okay, so I've started another setup. I put these, I don't even know what to call it because I made it. So there's a square tubing, And then I've got the hole for it to go down to my T-nuts, and then that supports it. And then I've got this here, which will apply force up this way. And then if I put too much force, it's just gonna make this bend down. So I've got counterbalance force there. I don't know whether these are gonna be strong enough. We'll see. And then I have that same thing on the other end. We've got some bars going across to hold down. So the next thing I need is I need a way to balance this thing against here. Not balance, but mount it to support it. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna take a bolt like this and I'm gonna grind a V-notch in it. And that V-notch will go up against that. And so it won't slide left or right. And then I'll put a nut on both sides of that. And with that I can put outward force. And then I'll come around and make a U-bolt. And I think I have some all thread like that. And I think I can bend that into a U shape, provided I got nuts and everything for that, which I should. Then I can use that to apply force that way. So maybe with that, it'll prevent it from going either way. But that's gonna be another day. Okay, I'm ready to try to start milling. And that bolt there, I cut a groove in it so that it holds onto the ridge of that spine. So we'll see if that makes it rigid. All right, I'm just gonna give a little update on my progress. What I've been doing is I've been turning the turret 30 degrees and extending the ram to be able to get to here. I'm finding that I have to do from about here to here with it in midline, and then from here to here at this 30 degrees, and then that 30 degrees. I don't know if it's the table or when I move the ram, but even when I don't elevate the knee, there is I can feel, I'm guessing it's a thousandth or two step up here. So, you know, from one setup to another setup, there's difference. So I'm gonna have to hopefully just get it within a thousandth or so, and then finish it up on the surface plate. I am getting vibration. You know, this is hanging out here in space, and I'm having to go really slow and manually, and I'm getting vibration. But because that's a relatively small rotational force, it's not as bad. When I first was doing this another day, I had a fly cutter on it with a big thing like this, and then it had a lot more lever arm to make more vibration. So I think I'm going to be able to get by with this. As you can see, I'm cutting on this side and haven't really been cutting that much on this side yet, but I'll get there. It's just going to be some slow progress. So here you can see I'm rotating the turret. There's 2 bolts to tighten that up on each side, and then there's 2 additional bolts that secure the ram, and I can slide that forwards and backwards. And then when I come back in to get that middle segment, you're going to see that it caused a step up, and that's going to be an ongoing problem, which we'll talk about as we go forward. But the cutting part is doing okay. It's just a matter of getting the alignment. So in comparing when I cut this segment versus this segment, all I did was rotate the turret and pull back the ram. And with that, I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a step up there. So, you know, I've had people suggest that I ought to, you know, fly cut that entire table, but I don't see how you could do that without having steps like this. You know, maybe when I go to do a final pass, I may put an indicator, you know, here going down, and then I could, you know, try to compensate for that lag, you know, and I don't know whether, you know, it could be partly that this is changing, but it could also be that when I'm getting out to the edge that the table's drooping. So I don't know. Well, I've flattened it out the best that I can on this. The setup would be much better if it was more rigid. I would ideally should have some blocks here, because I got quite a bit of motion down here at the end. If this had not been cast iron, I'm not sure it would have cut. You know, even this block here that I had for kind of the upright rigidity was really, you know, it's mounted down here rather than, you know, up here near the cutting surface. I mean, it's not even, well, it's about halfway, and it would have been better if it was there at the top. I also found that I think the whole thing moved a little bit as I was going along. There was some times it would start vibrating, and I think that it shifted just a little bit. And so also when I would move the positions from one to the other, there'd be, you know, 5 thousandths difference. So towards the end, I started just lifting it up, you know, putting it down, trying to get over the prior surface, come down until I touch off, and then use that as my starting spot. I think if I were to do it again, I'd probably just take the time to maybe take some big angle iron or something and make some better mounting for this. I think that I've got it close enough that I can scrape it the rest of the way in. If not, I may come back and start over and try to do it better. It's just very difficult to keep it continuous as I'm changing back and forth. Let me zoom in and show you the surface. So down here at the end, you know, I got quite a bit of chatter, and then I found that this thing had actually vibrated down off. I should have put some jam nuts there, because with vibration it was just coming off and then letting this sag. And then when I kind of tightened it back up, then it lifted it. And so, but I think I've got that roughly smooth. I mean, I can feel some of those ridges, but it's not too bad. That I can't feel. Down here, where I transition from one part to the other, I can feel a little bit of a step there. That's probably 1 thousandths or 2 there. And then down here, there's like a little bit of thing even between here and here. And what I found is that as I would move the table forwards and backwards, especially up here near the front where it's not worn, and back here it is worn, as I would pull it to the front, actually it would lift it just enough. And so that's why I think I was getting, like I can feel that there. So, you know, I probably could go over it several more times, but it seems like every time I do, I cause some, you know, I fix one thing and then cause another problem. So I think I'm just going to try to go with this and then start trying to scrape it in from there. Actually, now that I think about it, I was hoping to be able to get a bevel angle here so that I could get it into the dovetail. So I actually may need to do that next, and that's going to be a whole nother can of worms. So, I'll have to think on that. Well, I think I'm going to cut it off there. It's kind of a good stopping point. I will leave you with this clip where I went to a local auction and they were moving a pretty big drill press. I thought that was kind of cool to show. I just got a short clip. Next time, we're going to see my foolishness as I try to do a fly cutter after all, and that doesn't work, but you'll have to see that next time. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all the usual. And I love comments. Pretty small channel. I usually try to get back to everybody. All right, thanks for watching. Peace out.